You cannot comfort with comfort you have not received. You have to go through this so that then later you will be able to tell others, if God did it for me, He can do it for you.
That's why we are here.
And that is why we are here today. And my baby does not cry at birth, so they resuscitate and take to nursery, and he's in nursery and I'm in the ward and cannot go to nursery because I have a drip, I am dizzy, I am all those things. Until morning I start wondering, why hasn't my baby come to feed? It was a normal pregnancy, except for at 5 months I had a very bad chest infection, like a pneumonia sort of, that was managed. And then at 6 months I fell. Before all this happens, my sister has come to see me over lunch hour. And as we are sitting there, I noticed the boy is gasping. And I scream for help. They come, they chase us from the room, and they say, they resuscitate him, and then they call us back and they say, you know. And then we are discharged. When we are discharged, the bill is 154,440. I have never forgotten the figure. NHIF pays 150.
I'm done. Hi guys, this is Amy and welcome to Health Focus. This week's episode has taken us to Nakuru County. We are in Naivasha. Our word for the week comes from the book of Psalms chapter 62 verse 11. Once the Lord has spoken. Twice I have heard that power belongs to the Lord. Let's get into the day's video. I'm reminded that I've not thanked my great family of Health Focus. Now I'm stepping back to look into the house and give juice or biscuits or a cup of tea to all those who've been with us from the beginning of this channel. Thank you. For everybody who has shared to help a friend, thank you. To everybody who has stepped back to write a comment of encouragement and love, thank you too. And to all of us who've been watching to the end, much accolades. Now, I come to the other team of us, 80% of us who are watching and just passing. Please stop a bit and press that subscription button down there and tell us where you're watching from. And I want to appreciate those who are watching from as far as Nigeria and as far as Trinidad, as far as Uganda and Tanzania. Thank you for staying at Health Focus. And as I said, this week we are not in the county of Nairobi. We came to the county of Nakuru, where our guest is one of us. Anytime you see me excited, it's because I'm having a nurse on set and a friend and a person who I've known for such a long time. I know her journey briefly. I also want to dive into the journey and know what she went through in the process of securing health services from the nation of Kenya. Karibu sana. So let's welcome Elizabeth to set.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Emily.
Looking at this camera, please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth Shonko. I am a nurse by profession. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I am a wife. And I am a pastor.
Oh, wow. You've not said you are a nurse and you are a child of God.
Yes, I said I'm a nurse. I didn't say I'm a child of God. Yes, I am a child of God.
So who is Elizabeth and where was she born and what did she want to be when she grew up?
Okay. Elizabeth is the firstborn in a family of 5. Was born in Eldoret, raised in Kajiado, because my parents were ministers of the gospel, so they were moving around. So when I was being born, they were in Eldoret, and then I was raised in Ngong, Kajiado County, Kajiado West to be specific. And from a very tender age, I wanted to be a nurse, because my mom, being a pastor's wife and living in a very back then it was a very remote area. Now it is no longer that remote. Our house used to be the first house where people would come when they need help from the neighbors who have vehicles, because everybody trusted the pastor to open the door for them. So one night, long story short, one night I witnessed my mom delivering a baby in our living room. She did not know I did, because I heard some commotion, and then I peeped through the crack of our door, of our bedroom door, and I saw what she was doing. And right at that moment I thought, if I became a nurse, I could do it better than she has done it.
How old are you at this time?
That time I am around 12 or 13, thereabout. So, and I continue with school, and it's not a big deal. And when I'm done with high school, in Kajiado, because of the lack of, because of the level of illiteracy back then, they were doing a lot of taking the young people who have finished high school to go and do untrained teaching. And then once you go to the rural area and you have been there faithfully and you have been working for about 6 months, they take you to college to become a teacher. So my mom wanted me to do that, and I said, no, I'm not going. I want to be a nurse. My mom says, you cannot be a nurse. Do you know what being a nurse entails? She had her own bias and experience, and so she did not think that I could make it. But I insisted. I said that is what I wanted. And so she started asking around. We started writing applications to the MTCs and all. And of course it took longer than we expected, because we weren't getting the response that we needed. And so I was out there for about 2 years.
But before you even get to that nursing, did you really know what nursing was all about?
All I knew is that they take care of sick people. That's all I knew. I did not know, I did not have any other details of what nursing entails. I only knew they work in the hospital, they wear white dresses and that thing on their head.
And they're smart.
And they're smart. And I had 2 nurses who were my mom's friends, who were very nice. So I thought, from my little experience, I thought all nurses were that kind. And so I was out there for 2 years. 1 year I worked as a house help.
Oh.
Yes. To make ends meet. I am the firstborn. My dad is a pastor with very minimal income. And my mom is a social worker working for what we are calling now the county government, and doing a lot of farming. So there wasn't much to hold on to at home. You needed to do something else. And the more I sat at home, the more bored I was, the more I thought I was getting ideas, and I didn't want to miss my path. So I was hired in a relative's house as a house help. At the beginning, it was helping, but then when I got in, it became work. Yes, and then after 1 year, I became a sales girl at a friend's shop who had an agrovet shop. We were doing photocopying and all that, and my parents also started a pottery project for me, but I couldn't sit at home the whole day because of you feed them in the morning, you feed them at lunchtime, you feed them in the evening, and somewhere in the middle of the day you collect eggs. So I would do that in the morning, help mom with the house chores. We both go to work. Then I come back at 1, give them water, collect the eggs, go back to work, then come back, help her cook for my brothers and all that. So the 3rd year is when I went I went to college now. I was taken into what we are calling now Kijabi College of Health Sciences. Back then it was Kijabi School of Nursing. But now it's College of Health Sciences because they are doing much, much more than nursing. So I took my course for 3 years. That is another story altogether because my parents could not even afford it. So even while I was at home for these 2 years, one of the reasons I could not go immediately was because they could not afford the school fees. Because we are 5 of us and the rest are all in school. I am the one who has just finished and they don't have the kind of income that is needed. And you don't know how much money we are talking about.
I can imagine. And the pastors those days?
Salary.
Really?
When I realized that there is something called a pay slip, I saw my dad's pay slip and he was earning 900 shillings.
Which year is this?
Around 84, 85.
I think that must have been a lot of money those days.
He was earning 900. Yes, it was a lot of money because when I went to school of nursing, how I got into school of nursing is because there was a missionary my dad was working with. So she asked why I was still at home and she was told it's because we cannot afford her school fees and she wants to go do nursing. So where does she want to go to nursing? She wants to go to Kijabi. How much is it? We do not know. So she says, I will take her. We go and find out. The day we go, we find it is the day they are doing interviews. Fortunately, I had carried my papers. So we did the interview and we came back home, waited for a month, and I was invited back. The whole school fees for the 3 years was 3,000 shillings. But my parents could not afford. So the missionary paid the 3,000 shillings the first day of college. The day I reported to work, she paid the whole thing.
To school.
And she made sure she would give me pocket money, she would do shopping for me, she would, so all I needed to do was go to school.
Be present, even have extra money. Pocket
yes. Money. So that's how I ended up doing nursing. And worked in Kijabi most of my adult life. My highlight in Kijabi was working in maternity. First as a midwife, then as a nursery nurse, then as the manager of the whole place. Yes.
So now we are shifting gears because a health focus measures on giving hope to a mother, to a sister, to a brother out there. While you are in maternity, you transition life, you get into family life, and you are now a mother. Now, because I'm having information prior concerning what happened, I don't want to preempt everything. Let's dive into the story of how you gave your pregnancy story and how you found that you've given birth to a child able differently.
Okay. Let me start by saying I'm a mother of 3. And the child able differently was our second born, Steve. And after our firstborn, I went back to school of nursing, courtesy of the same missionary who paid for because I did a certificate, enrolled community nursing. Yes. So then there was the issue of bridging. And that time we were paying school fees at Kijabi. We were paying 175,000 for 18 months.
175,000?
Yes. But I didn't have the money.
175,000 for 1 year?
18 months. That was the whole school fees. It was 1.5 years. It was a lot of, even back then it was a lot of money. Yes. So the missionary said she was willing to pay for me because by now I had left Kijabi and gone to work with her in Londiani, because now she was working in Londiani, had begun a dispensary, wanted to progress it to a health center where they could be able to deliver mothers, because they were having a lot of maternal deaths in that community. So she decided she wanted me to join her. So when I joined her, she said, "What is it that you would like to do?" I said, "I would like to go back to school." Because this is what we are doing. It is a transition period. So she paid the school fees again. On my first day of reporting, she paid the 175. So what I used to get is a statement of my account. So I went back to school, did registered community health nursing. And while I was going back to school, we already had our firstborn. So there was a gap of, because when I came back from school, he was about 7. So there was a gap between him and the second born, because I had to go back to school. So we were all very anxious about having a child. So I conceived and thought I was carrying a normal pregnancy. Delivered in Litane Hospital. I had a kind of precipitate labor, so I went into postpartum hemorrhage immediately after birth.
For those non-clinical, is
yes.
that giving birth without Hebrew birth?
Yes.
There is no
very fast.
pain, very fast.
Very fast. There is intense pain, but for a very short time, you give birth very fast. And that in itself has a way of confusing the system. The uterus does not know how to go back to its normal place to control the... Yes, because it is very sudden. Doesn't know how... Yes, the complication is bleeding. And my baby does not cry at birth, so they resuscitate and take to nursery, and he's in nursery and I'm in the ward and cannot go to nursery because I have a drip, I am dizzy, I am all those things. Until morning I start wondering, why hasn't my baby come to feed? So we were with my husband and we walk to nursery. He pushes the drip stand for me. We walk to nursery and we find the boy there lying on oxygen, of course, breathing a little bit better, but you can tell he's struggling. And then I ask, has he fed? They say he hasn't fed.
Sorry, why?
Good question. Wrong person.
Wait, how many hours are this?
Wow. I had delivered him at, I think, around midnight.
12 a.m.
to morning around 8 thereabout. So he had not fed. Hypoglycemia. Do I have breast milk? No, because I have also PPH. Yes, I have also not fed. So, but that's at around that time, the nurse who had accommodated us comes with a thermos flask of tea. What? I get tea and I tell them, allow me to give this baby glucose water because I don't have breast milk. I put him to the breast, nothing is coming. There isn't even that small liquid. So we give him glucose water and the doctor comes and says, if you have no problem, you could go home today. And I think, wow, we would
even
rather...
with the PPH?
Would rather, yes, even with PPH. Has the bleeding stopped? Yes. Do we have clots? No. Have we checked HB? No.
Okay. Okay. Let me know. Question
yes.
So much.
And so I go home and we struggle with him and eventually he feeds. And of course lactation sets in, and because I'm in my environment, I can take whatever I want and all that. Fortunately, I recovered very fast from the PPH because I think from my years of midwifery, I knew what to do
yeah.
for myself.
Yes.
But if it was a mom who did not know what to do, and sometimes I tend to forgive them by thinking maybe they thought she's a nurse, she knows what to do. So.
But we've lost so many mothers because of that.
I know. But sometimes I look at it and think maybe that is what was on their mind. Anyway, long story short, we go home and he starts breastfeeding very well and he's growing like a normal child, no problem, but he had very severe colic pains. So we handle that and he's okay and he starts feeding. But at 4 months, I start noticing he's not attaining milestones as well as I would expect him to. But there's that aspect of denial. You keep pushing that idea. It comes, but you think, no, it can't be. No, it can't be.
Was the whole pregnancy very normal? Nothing?
It was a normal pregnancy, except for at 5 months, I had a very bad chest infection, like a pneumonia sort of, that was managed. And then at 6 months, I fell, going to a men's conference. I was going to speak to a men's conference and I was walking somewhere steep and it had rained. And I fell on my knee. But we thought, no big deal. I came home the following day. I had reduced fetal movements. But my colleague says, since you're going for clinic tomorrow, why don't you go and let them do an ultrasound? So I go for clinic the following day. They do an ultrasound and the baby looks okay. Heart rate okay. Placenta is normal. Everything looks like is okay. And now we have started resuming fetal movement and
it's fine.
Fetal heart is okay. So we carry on. Until now, when he's born and he doesn't cry as well, and everybody's thinking it's because it was precipitate. Now when I look back, I see there are several things that we missed out, because even at that point, at the the examination that we do, first exam that we do, somebody should have picked that he was anencephalic.
Because I'm asking, even during the ultrasound, there is that measurement they do of the skull and all those things.
But they should have picked at that point that he was a little bit of microcephalic.
Yes.
At that point.
Microcephalic is
a small head for size. Yes, they should have picked at that point, but it was not picked. So at 4 months is when I noticed he fists his hand. He wants his head to one side, and he hasn't attained the capacity to hold his head. And sitting, he could sit, but with a lot of support on the sides. But his age mates are sitting, are reaching out for objects, are following you with their eyes. He's not. So one of my friends, God bless her heart, Sarah Cherorot, she came to my house one day and she asked me, I don't know whether anybody else has asked you this question, but do you think this baby is growing as he should?
No, you really need to gather a lot of courage to ask
your friend that question. But she had a very special spot in my heart, because there is something she used to make for me when I had something that I was yearning for, craving for, and she used to make for me while I was pregnant. So we were very tight. So she did not have the fear of coming to ask me.
Yes.
She was making for me very sweet porridge. Oh, God bless her heart. So I tell her I have my own fears, and now that you say it, it's true. She tells me, why don't you talk to your mom or somebody at home and ask whether this is
Had your mom
kawaida.
seen the child?
No, my mom had not seen the child.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk
She
to your
could have
mom
sensed.
and see whether it's fine. So the following week, a doctor comes to visit us at the health center. Was coming to do a medical camp, and so I asked him to review my son for me. He reviews my son and he tells me, Elizabeth, you need to get this child to Nairobi, you need to see a pediatrician, and you need to do that ASAP.
He gives you anxiety in your stomach.
Of course, my fears are now confirmed. So we are going to a wedding the following week, so we decide we will go to Nairobi earlier so that we can, I call my mom, she books an appointment with, we call him Dr. Mohodia or something. I call my friend says, we have a pediatrician in Hurlingham who is a very good doctor, you can come see him. So we book an appointment, and so we come earlier, we come on Thursday, we see him on Friday. He examines my son, he undresses him completely, puts him on the couch, examines him, takes a lot of history from me, and then tells me, I need you to see a neurosurgeon today. And for that reason, I am not charging you for this visit because I want you to use that money to see the neurosurgeon. I have called him, he's in the office, he's waiting for you. Yes, and so we go to the neurosurgeon. The distance between
Pediatrician to neurosurgeon.
yes, he was in Hurlingham and the neurosurgeon was in just opposite Valley Road. There is a doctor's suits that is usually on the on your right as you go down.
Yes.
That is where
Upper Hill Medical Center.
that is where Dr. Oyati was.
Oh, Dr. Oyati. Yeah.
That's where his office was. But I'm telling you, the distance between Dr. Oyati's office and the pediatrician's office looked like
Long.
yes. I became very anxious. I could not carry my, fortunately I was with my mom, so she carried the baby. We went saw Dr. Oyati, and Dr. Oyati says I need an MRI for me to be able to make a decision. So you need to go to Ngong Road, have an MRI. Yes, that time they were very, even that time I think that was the only one in Nairobi. At the point it was in Ngong Road. So we went. Fortunately my mom had, for some reason my mom had money. So we went, did the MRI, and we were told come for the results on Monday.
Because of reporting.
Of course, because of interpretation. So we go home, but already Dr. Oyati has said this is my suspicion, and if it is it looks like it has affected the main part of the brain, but we will confirm that with the MRI, and we will confirm what we can be able to do. So we go, we do the MRI, we come back on Monday, and his fears are confirmed. Main part of the brain is affected. It's going to affect his speech, his sight, his hearing, his extremities, motor activities, basically everything. Basically everything is what we call quadriplegic cerebral palsy now. He actually confirms it is quadriplegic cerebral palsy. And he says he also has a degree of microcephaly. And he thinks that is the reason. So, and it cannot be corrected by surgery. You can only, at this point now he has already started having some small conversions. They are like spasms, they are not conversions yet. They are like spasms, you can tell. And he's drooling, and he's becoming very stiff. So right opposite was a physiotherapist. So we are sent to the physiotherapist, and she gives us a program, and she says you can do this at home, then let's see you in a month.
This is a 4-month-old boy we are talking about now.
We're talking about 5 months now. So we go back after the wedding, and he gets Highlands malaria.
Why? And we're in Nairobi.
So we are living in Londiani.
Oh, yeah.
He gets Highlands malaria, and we are admitted in the hospital, and that complicates the whole story all over again. We almost lost him at that point. But we are admitted, and they give very good care, and we go back home. But now it is very evident. You can see now.
Now it's
Yes, you can see the CP is now very evident. So, so we started the long journey of physiotherapy, managing conversions, managing recurrent pneumonias and all that. And it was obvious we needed to move from Londiani back to Nairobi, because we did very well for a month. Then when we came back the second month, Dr. Uyatsi was very unhappy, and he said, I need this child in Nairobi, and I need him in Nairobi now. So what happens? I can't get a transfer overnight.
Again, when the doctor wants a child in Nairobi, costs.
Yes. But at that point, I am not thinking about the cost. I am thinking about saving
because
my
you're
child.
the mother, me, I'm thinking about the medical side.
Exactly.
As nurse, I'm telling you that.
Yes.
What am I thinking? Because I'm sober, you don't
Yes,
know what.
yes. I am thinking, if that is what it takes to save my child, then
That's
so be
what
it.
you'll do.
So we are with my mom, and my mom is very quick to ask the doctor, is it okay if he's left with me?
Oh.
And the doctor says, if you have a good caretaker, I think it can be managed. So I asked Dr. Uyatsi, how about breastfeeding? Because he's still breastfeeding. He's around 9 months by now. He's still breastfeeding. So he says, we would rather have him here and do what we need to do to help him to be as independent as possible than continuing breastfeeding and jeopardize his future. And of course, I reasoned like a mother. So we agree with mom, he's going to be left.
And you have a great mom.
And we get a house help. There was a house help who used to come twice a week to help my mom with chores around. And so we decide she will be coming on a daily basis, taking care of my son during the day. And then at night, there was my niece who was living with my parents and going to classes. So at night, they would work with mom and take care of the boy. So while I go and try and get a transfer back, that time
Where are you transferring back to? Or it's a resignation?
I resign and come to Nairobi or whatever, but then I have to find a job first, because my firstborn is in school, my husband is in school. We are depending on one salary.
Or now your husband
in Baraton. He was in Baraton.
Complex.
Very complicated. Very complicated.
Oh.
So I would go to Londiani, work for 2 weeks without day offs, so that I can accumulate my day offs and come to Nairobi, so that I can be with my son for at least 4 days or so, and relieve my mom a little bit and my niece for a period of like 8 months before I could secure a job. And finally, I secured a job at Kijabi Hospital. That's how I came back now to Kijabi Hospital after 5 years or so of being up country. And so we started the long journey of physios twice a week, and drugs and house helps and
caring at night
and
hospital running
because of aspiration pneumonias. He would every so often aspirate because he's drooling, he's not able to swallow very well. And it was a very difficult journey. I remember before I got the job, there was a night I was really mad, and all I could do was complain. And I had woken up at around 3 to pray. And I had a loud voice, stop complaining. And it was in the dark. My husband is not home. It is in the dark, and I'm wondering, so who talked to me? So I wake up, put on the lights, and as I'm going back to sit on my bed, I hear again, right here behind me, stop complaining.
I'm feeling goosebumps.
At that point, I get goosebumps, and I realize...
I have felt it. It's like...
Yes. I was so sorry. I go prostrate on the floor, and I tell God, I am sorry. Show me what to do. Just show me what to do. I don't know what to do. I feel lost. I feel confused. I don't know what to do.
What were you complaining about?
I was complaining about resources. I was complaining about how my child is because how could you do this to me? While during this pregnancy, I did not even rest. I was all over the community because this time is when we were sensitizing the community about HIV and the role of the church. And the role of the church because there was a lot of stigma. People had left church because they have been...
Like contagious.
Yes. So it was like what happened during COVID. So I was going around to youth camps, women camps, men camps, churches.
Doing the Lord's work.
Exactly.
And now he's punishing you. This God is crazy.
Thank you for reasoning like me. So I'm thinking, so why did you do this to me? Why? And so I go back, and I am playing in between soberness and depression. And I remember at one point my sister finds me home and tells me, can you get out of this place where you have gotten into? Can you get out of this hole? Do you know how blessed you are? You are a nurse.
You'll never see the blessing.
You are a nurse. You know what to do. Do you know how many women are in Mathare with children like this and they do not know what to do? Maybe the only reason this child was born into your family is because you are a nurse and because you will know what to do. Get out of that place where you are. And I keep telling my sister, once in a while we need someone to kick us.
Okay.
In the so that you can stop being
playing victim.
Exactly. Thank you. So, and then God says, stop complaining at around the same time. Stop complaining. And I stopped complaining. The following day, I am waking up to go to Nairobi. All I have in my pocket is my fare to go to Nairobi and nothing more. Mom has a house help. I need to give her money for shopping. I need to pay for milk. I need to all those things surrounding raising your child, but I don't have money. Why? Because the dispensary is not doing so well. So I don't have money, and I cannot pay myself before I pay everybody else. I'm the manager at that point. So what do? You pay everyone else, and then you will know how you will survive. So as I tell God now, show me the way. Just show me I do not know what to do. Show me the way. But for some reason, I get a lot of peace. Go back to sleep, wake up, get ready, and pack and go to Nairobi. I go to take my child to, that time we were taking him to APDK Westlands. I take him to APDK Westlands. While I'm there on my way back, someone who used to be one of the people that I mentored in Kijabi Hospital, who had gone to the US, called my house in Londiani. We had a telecom phone.
Oh, I remember those.
Yes, ile ya hivi.
Landline.
Ile ya hivi.
I know.
Yes, ya kukoroga. We had that one.
I saw them in Kenyatta Hospital.
We had that one. Yeah, I was rich, eh?
Hey, you were very rich. Hey, you liked money.
So he called home, and I had left someone with my son. So she tells them she went to Nairobi to check on her son. Kwani, what is going on? So she tells him the story, and he says, how can I reach her? She's given my parents' number.
Even your parents had a phone?
Yes.
Hey, you were rich, cool kids.
Yes,
Oh.
they had a phone.
Whoa.
So he calls home, and I am in Nairobi. I had taken my son. So he says, I will call at this time when she comes back. So, and as I'm getting home, the phone is ringing. And my mom tells me, that could be your phone call. So I get in, and yes, we talk. And he says, you know what, I thought about you, and I did not even know what you are going through, and I would like to do something to help. What are the immediate needs you have right now? While I'm going to Nairobi, I have left my son home because we have a balance for school fees.
Oh, the firstborn child.
Yes, now. He's at home, and I have come home with nothing. And I have a child, we have a house help, we have... So my mom, we talk, and he says, what is the nearest Western Union to you? And I said, the nearest Western Union. I'm not even thinking clearly. I tell him there is a Western Union in Kericho. Because me, I'm thinking by the time this money gets here, I will be in Kericho.
When he sent to Kericho.
So he sends me the details, and then the following morning, a friend comes to visit, and my mom asks, out of curiosity, how does Western Union work? And the person asks, why are you asking? So we explain. She says, just take those details to a Western Union in Afya Center. There used to be a Western Union.
Yes, I remember.
There was a post office there. So, and Western Unions were mostly in the post office, whatever. So I went. I'm coming from Westlands, from APDK, kutoka Mazoezi. We walk in. The guard sees me at the gate, holds my hand, takes me to the counter. They open the door for me. I get in because of my son. I get in. They ask me, what can we do for you? Within 20 minutes, I had my money. And it was exact amount I needed for everything I needed to do at that time. So I go home. We pay the house help. We pay for milk.
You have fare back.
Yes, I have fare back. I have money to do shopping for home and money to go pay school fees.
Wow. And you were complaining.
And I was complaining. Truth be told, from that moment on, the story of lack became history. Every time we needed something, God would make sure we have it. In his own way, he would make sure we have it. And so we continued, and hospitalization became the order of the day because of recurrent aspiration pneumonias. Sometimes the seizures would be out of control. We would have to go to the hospital. Being in ICU was like a normal. It was more normal to be in ICU than not to be
out.
Exactly. And so we carried on with that journey, and as we continued, some doctors thought he wasn't going to live beyond 7 years.
Why so?
Because the condition was so, according to medical knowledge and data available, children with that level of CP do not live beyond 7 years, and if they do, not beyond 14. And if they do, they have to be institutionalized.
Or their quality of life is
very poor. But who is God?
He shamed all the reports.
He went beyond his 7th birthday. He went beyond his 14th birthday. And one of the times I remember very clearly about God's provision and healing, while everybody thought now this was it, he was about 8 or 9. And we were admitted in the hospital. Dr. Albright came to Kijabi. Those people who are conversant with the medical field, they know that Dr. Albright is known as one of the best neurosurgeons, has written a lot of books that are used to train people, and he was in Kijabi by God's grace. And he was asked to see my son by one of the orthopedic surgeons. And he said there's something we can do to improve the quality of his life, not for him to be healed, but at least to improve the quality of life so that you can be able to carry him better, you can be able to exercise him better, you can be able to dress him better. And he went in and did the surgery. That surgery was, they were calling it lysotomy. It's the release of nerves. They go in and release the nerves that are controlling the limbs so that he can relax better. So he had an incision here and lower back to release the lower limbs, and we were supposed to be in the hospital for like 7 days and we go home. And we did. But when we got home, he started leaking cerebrospinal fluid from this incision. So we go back to the hospital and he goes back to theater as an emergency because they want to see where is the cerebrospinal fluid coming from. They go, they open up, they do not see where it's coming from, but it's leaking. And they try and seal whatever they are thinking that could be the places where it's coming from. And he's brought to the ward, and at 3 a.m. he starts leaking again. Now even it's actually shooting. It's shooting like, you know the way you cut natari. It was shooting like that. So when the doctor is called at night, he thinks, now what do I go and tell that mother?
Go on, we are finishing.
What do I go and tell that mother? So me, I decide I'm going to apply pressure. Here.
You applied pressure?
Yes.
And it stopped?
I applied pressure because nobody is coming to my room. They do not know what to do. They do not know what to tell me. It's beyond them, and they can only wait until morning because what can be done? So I apply pressure, and it stops. So when it stops, I ring the bell, and the nurse comes, and I say, why don't we change this dressing? So we change the dressing, put a dry one. In the morning, they say, let's go for an MRI. We see what is happening.
So it stopped that night?
Yes, it stopped. And we went for the MRI the following day, and believe it or not, they said he had hydrocephalus. He had a hydrocephalic spheres in the head. They look like they, so that is why it was leaking, because it wasn't flowing the way it's supposed to be flowing. There was pressure.
Like there was blockage somewhere.
There was a blockage. So they decided to go and put an ABD.
That's a lot of things, eh?
So they went in, put in an ABD, and
if it is a shunt.
yes, so we would drain it. We would drain the CSF fluid
outwards.
Yes, outwards, twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, and it would be done by the doctor. So we were in the hospital for, no, before that, after we started the EVT, he develops fevers. So they go in again to go and open the incisions and see, do we have collection of pus, or what is going on in these wounds, or why are we getting fevers? So they go, they're opening up, and they remove some of the CSF. Guess what he has? E. coli meningitis.
Aye.
Yes.
Yeah, because during surgery, maybe infection control was not so high. You know, E. coli, it's a gut bacteria.
It's a gut bacteria.
So
and you wonder how it got there, because they were not interacting with the gut, but it got there.
No, I didn't wash
my hands. It was E. coli meningitis. Why it did not kill him? I have never understood.
E. coli in a wrong place is bad.
I have never understood why it did not kill him at the time.
It was in time.
So, and they start wondering, so how are we going to treat this? Do we have the right drugs and all? So everybody is having sleepless nights. I'm having sleepless nights because I can see my child is deteriorating day by day. He's vomiting, he has a fever, and all that. So one morning, one of the doctors comes and says, all of us have been looking at the infections, we forgot about the nutritional status of this child. I want stage feed started and I want HB checked. HB checking, it was less than 10.
Oh.
Where is the father? Let him come and donate. But all this will happen after he has threatened. He has actually threatened. Before all this happens, my sister has come to see me over lunch hour. And as we are sitting there, I noticed the boy is gasping. And I scream for help. They come, they chase us from the room, and they say, they resuscitate him, and then they call us back and they say, you know, that was not gasping, he had a seizure. I told the doctors, you know what? I might be mad right now because I know that is what you guys are saying, but I am a nurse and I know what I saw. He was gasping, but God has decided to give us a second chance. Because as we go out of the room, I tell the doctor, I tell God, I know maybe I have not done my best, but God, I am praying. Not like this. Please do not take him out like this. Give me another chance. Because during the first surgery, when we had the first surgery with Dr. Albright, there is a couple who had come to visit their Mzungu doctor, who was visiting with the hospital. And she had come and prophetically said, they came and while they're waiting for their son during the day, they would be walking around in the hospital and praying for patients. They came to our room and they came and prayed with us, and as they were leaving, that woman came back and said, this boy will go to nations. So that day I reminded God, you said he will go to nations. How will he go to nations while he's in the grave? Not like this, not now. And God, in his own mercies,
everything cleared and he got healed.
Yes, he was resuscitated. He came back to, and during this time now after the resuscitation, no, the resuscitation is happening after we have decided with the intercessors we are going to pray for 3 days for God to show us direction. Because this boy is not getting any better. We have fevers, we have started treatment, and he's not
responding.
He's not responding. So the day he's gasping is the third day. Actually is the first day of our fast. So we are thinking, when you have started fasting is when he's going to die. So the second day, the surgeon comes and says, we want to go and confirm that everything is okay. They go to theater, they check the wounds, there is no pus. So I know we are not dealing with an infection. The third day is when the other doctor comes and says, I want stage feeds, I want him transfused. While they are preparing for transfusion, the pediatrician comes and says, I couldn't sleep last night. I started perusing my bags for when we came, and I found a drug. And I couldn't remember what it was for, but I had just carried it just in case we come and need it. And when I Googled, it has treated one adult man with E. coli meningitis. But it has to be given
via
the EVD.
Is a tablet?
No, it's an IV drug. It has to be given through the...
To go to the system straight?
Yes. So, they decide we are going to start the drugs today in the evening. Then the surgeon comes to change the dressing. Here hapa kwa EVD ilikuwa inachangewa na daktari. While he's coming to remove the dressing, he pulls the dressing and comes out with the EVD.
Oh my God!
And I'm thinking, I was so mad. I was so mad. So they decide we have to take him back to theater again.
Yes.
Go and put in another EVD so that we can be able to administer the drugs.
Again.
And it has to be, because the first dose is supposed to be given at 4, we have to have it ready by then. Then while we are waiting to go to theater, there is an emergency in theater. Of course, this one is not considered an emergency.
God has refused.
But eventually he goes in. And while he's in theater, I am so scared. I am am in the bathroom. I try to sleep. I can't sleep. I get into the bathroom to shower. And while I'm showering, I hear God say, I will not put you to shame. I will not put you to shame. And as I am coming out of the bathroom, it occurs to me the EVD needed to fall out.
So that you don't put the drug inside.
Because it has been there for too long. The microorganisms are sitting in the EVD. So we shall be giving the drug and pushing back what?
Infection.
It needed to come out so that we have a new one, so that we can start drugs with a clean EVD. How God works. How God works. So the EVD was put, we started the drugs. Long story short, we were in the hospital for 4 months and 11 days because of all that episode.
And you're still working?
I'm on sick leave. I have taken unpaid leave. I have taken everything. Now now I am just there. Yes, I am waiting for them. Yes, I am waiting for them to tell me what they want after I am done. But my son comes first. Even if the job ends, it's okay. Another miracle happens. During that time when we're in the hospital, my cousins gather and they decide by the time she's coming out of the hospital, this bill is going to be huge. We better start preparing ourselves because either we will have a fundraiser or something. So they gather themselves, they organize themselves, they gather the money, they bring me the money. And then we are discharged. When we are discharged, the bill is 154,440. I have never forgotten the figure. NHIF pays 150.
I'm done.
The hospital says we were supposed to pay half and you pay half, and the NHIF is your money and it has paid 150.
It's giving you fair back.
Please go home and get drugs that you need for until the period of review.
Oh, because you are a staff.
Yes, because I am a staff. So the 4,440 is paid by the hospital plus drugs to go home. The money my cousins had gathered is money to go home because while we were in hospital, I was using napkins before that. While I was in hospital, I told God, you know what? Me, I'm tired of this business ya kufua napi nikiwa hosi. I'm going to use diapers. And when I start diapers,
I'm not going back.
I am not going back. So I had money to buy diapers. I had money for special diet that he has been put on. And money to pay the house help and money to throw a party to give thanks.
That is why God began by saying, once I've spoken, twice
I have heard.
That God alone is God.
Yes, He alone is God. And remember, He told me, I shall not put you to shame. And he really never put me to shame. The other word that he gave me while I was in the hospital, he sent a servant of God who came and said, you cannot comfort. With comfort you have not received. And this man came to tell me, you need to learn the lesson that you are supposed to learn in this wilderness so that we can get out of this wilderness. We have been here for too long.
And
if you do not learn the lesson, we are going to be here longer. Can you ask God to teach you what He wants to teach you? That is the night he told me, through Him, you cannot comfort with comfort you have not received. You have to go through this so that then later you will be able to tell others, if God did it for me, He can do it for you.
That's why we are here.
And that is why we are here today. That is why we are here today.
Can we close the show now? We've achieved the purpose.
That is why we are here today, because God has continued to provide. God has continued to do good. And He continued to show Himself. Even this home that we are in is a miracle because of that boy. Because we were building a home to bring him to. But God had a different agenda.
After you've been comforted,
Yes.
the Lord rested him.
We have been comforted. He has provided for us. We have a beautiful home. We want to move in, but we cannot move in because there is no power. We are in the process of raising funds to put in a solar system. At that point, he rests him.
Because he has achieved his purpose.
He rests him, and so we moved into this house a month after he passed on, being complete as you're seeing it.
Wow.
If it wasn't for him, maybe we would have gotten into a house that was incomplete.
That's true.
But
And
God
maybe
made
you
sure.
wouldn't have finished
But
it.
God made sure he had settled us.
Hey, I'm amazed.
So the story of his being rested and all that, I think is a story you need to come and we talk again.
We need to document that again.
Because we need to document the journey of grief. Because
Yes,
grief
yes,
sucks.
Yes, yes.
Grief
yes.
sucks.
Yes, yes.
We have just clocked 4 years last week. And last week was a dark week. If you looked at my status, last week was a dark week. And that is something else we need to talk about, because people think when you have children able differently, when they pass on, is like a burden that has been removed. People do not relate to the fact that this is a child just like any other.
People don't.
People think, why are you sad na umeondolewa mzigo?
Clear the room. Rest.
Exactly.
Actually, I've had it not once.
Exactly.
Rest.
I was told to my face, Mungu amekuondolea mzigo. So that is a story for another day. We will talk about it another time. I don't want to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we talk about
Yes.
now. Right now, I know that you are so involved in making sure that patient safety is at the key.
Yes.
What triggered that seed? Is it through the treatment of your care personally, or it's just something you found yourself in without your knowledge?
My journey, that takes me back to my professional journey. Like 12, 13 years ago, there was a big transition at Kijabi Hospital where I was working. And I was moved from maternity to private ward, which was like mockery, so to speak. How do you move from running a ward that has 60 beds to a 9-bed ward? That is wastage of potential. Sorry, that is a story for another day, but it is wastage of potential. So I felt I was very dissatisfied, I was very unsettled, and we started seriously with my husband praying for an opening for another job. And as God would have it, opened an opportunity at Cure. At this point, I have had so much experience in hospitalizations and care and all that as a person, and has had the bad and the good of it, even as an employee in that hospital. And I had already started thinking, how is it that we can make this journey better, especially when it comes to healthcare, the quality of service and how people are handled even when they are abled differently. And so I get this job at Cure where they are looking for somebody to come and handle quality and infection control. And that is how I landed where I am at now. And I came in with a lot of passion, thinking these are special people, so to speak, that need to be handled exactly that. They have needs, they have desires, they have feelings, they have emotions, they feel like us.
And especially the fact that you are having the same kind of
exactly
person, let's say, in your house.
Exactly. And one of the incidences I remember very clearly is one night when a tourniquet was forgotten in his upper arm.
Your son?
Yes.
For how long? So
it used to be very difficult to find his veins. So they came, they struggled, and they needed to give IV drugs, and they got to a point where it was very difficult. So I think in the confusion of moving from this limb to the other, they forgot the tourniquet, and he had a long-sleeved t-shirt. So it was pulled down. So the boy could not sleep. He kept crying, and I'm wondering, why is he crying so much? And so I start inspecting, and I notice this hand is more swollen than this one. So I pull the t-shirt, and I find the tourniquet here.
How many hours later?
Like 3 hours later. So the tips of the fingers have started being sinuosed. So I'm wondering, why is it swollen? Why is it sinuosed? So I look and I see the tourniquet. Anyway, they were very scared because they thought I was going to take steps against them. But then I thought, this has been a crazy night. We have all have had a very rough ride tonight. The ward was very busy, and my son was the biggest of their problems that night.
Actually, that reports the reason why incident and error reporting should be left.
Yes.
So that we learn.
So that we learn. So that was one of the incidences that I remember very clearly that made me think
Patient
safety is really important, and more often than not we do harm without knowledge that we are doing harm. So that's how I ended up there, and my dream and desire is that every patient is handled the same way, despite where they come from, despite their economic status, that they are going to be treated like the who and who's of this country the same way, so that when I'm looking at not harming my patients, I'm looking at them across board. And when those incidences happen, they are reported, we do good root cause analysis, and we learn from it, so that then we can improve.
Without victimization.
Because I think the biggest problem has always been victimization.
Absolutely.
Victimization.
And that's why we don't have reports of incidences.
Yeah.
Even nationwide. We depend on data from the overseas countries. We just report.
Exactly. And now, especially when you're dealing with people who are abled differently, who cannot necessarily be able to express themselves, just making people aware to look for those things, even when you know you do not have them, just make sure you confirm that everything is okay. This patient cannot speak. They cannot tell you, were it not for that instinct of a mom, just check what is going on. Why is he crying? Why can't he sleep? Exactly. We would have been amputated.
So many mothers out there are struggling with children able. So many, I tell you, so many.
Yes.
What are the main challenge as a mother with a child able differently?
Main challenge. First and foremost, let me talk about what people don't think about: mental health. Mental well-being of the caretaker. Because this is someone who is exposed to something that they know that is not going away, has cost implications, has psychological implications, has social implications, because you are neglected, you are rejected and dejected by your own, simply because you have a child able differently. I know many parents who have their marriages ended because they delivered babies who are able differently. Unaambiwa, sisi hapa kwetu hatuzai watoto kama hawa. Utatuambia kule ulimtoa. Or it's a bad omen, or it's...
And usually it's the mother who has given birth. The father is always very clear.
Exactly. It is the mother who has given birth, so she needs to tell us where she got this child from. So mental well-being. Who takes care of the caretaker? The caretaker is not sleeping. The caretaker is tired. The caretaker has got their own needs as a human being. Who meets those needs? And making sure that this person is okay. Financial implication. These people who are able differently are supposed to be registered and are supposed to be part of what the government is supporting. They do, yes. We cannot completely rule it out that they do not. But the process for you to get registered and to get that card, for you to get the help from the government, is a nightmare of a journey. If that journey could be smoothened, so that then people are not suffering so much to get the help that they are looking for. Absolutely. And which sometimes is very little help. My son passed on before he benefited from any of it.
Oh, really?
Despite the fact that I know the process. Yes, despite the fact that I know the process, and despite that I followed it through, we had the card, but he never benefited from it.
Where is this? Who takes these finances?
Exactly. So that is a big challenge, the process of getting that compensation or whatever support, whatever you want to call it. What is the process in a
nutshell for somebody who is in the rural area? They have never ever.
The process is going to a hospital, to a government institution, the child being assessed, a report being written that it is true this child has a disability and needs to be registered as such, taking that letter to Afya Center, developing the card, then sending it back.
Afya Center or Ministry of Health?
Ministry of Health, oh, yeah. Afya House. Having them registered, that card coming back to the county, then you going for it from the county, then now starting the process of registering for Inua Jamii.
No, already it's a lot.
It's already a lot. And for this child to be examined, you must take them physically to the doctor for the doctor to see them.
No, you're going to
in most of the institutions, you cannot go that day and have the examination done. Some of the institutions that I know of, you have to go and book an appointment so that you go back and be seen by the doctor who is authorized to examine these children and write
the reports. The government has dejected you.
Exactly.
20 times.
Thank you.
Why am I working with a child? I'm already tired. I'm already mentally...
Thank you. So that in itself is a problem. And then support for them in the community, the society. Sometimes we look at them as people who are disturbing us. For instance, when I go to church with that child and he's making certain sounds, they make cooing. Exactly. Or when he's hungry, he's not going to tell me he's hungry, he's going to cry. Or like my son was being fed with a G-tube. I have to feed in the public and everybody is...
What is that?
Exactly. Staring and all that. Even when we are building facilities, we are not even thinking about the people who are able differently. We are not thinking about ramps. We are not thinking about washrooms that are friendly to them. We are not thinking about sinks that they can reach. We are not thinking all those things.
Yeah, I've never seen sinks that are short.
Exactly.
Do we have a building with a short sink? Really?
Yes, we do. Come to Cure.
Your Cure, is the heart. This is the heart of this found. Cure is the heart of these children.
Yes.
But outside Cure,
there are very few. If they are,
I mean personally,
there are very few if they are. So thinking about them, switches that they can reach, doorknobs that they can reach, vehicles that they can access. There are many challenges out there, and sometimes these parents do not need a lot from you. They just need you to go and hug them, find out how they are doing, or just hold that baby for them for 2 hours for them to sleep.
Maybe I'm condemned. Did I ever hug you?
I do not I do not remember when I slept through the night up to date, because it's like I have an internal alarm, because I needed to wake up like every 3
years.
Yes, I needed to wake up every 3 hours, either to turn him, change his diaper, or just check on him to make sure that he's okay.
And you have to come and work.
And I have to go to work. So
a hug is required.
My mind is already set that at that hour we must wake up. Even if I'm not going to get out of bed, at that hour I will be alert somehow, no matter where I am.
Let me apologize on behalf of all of us who are very stable and who take life and abled well children as we take that for granted. Honestly, I am sorry for the times I never internalized it. But then again, how will you internalize if you've not interacted?
Exactly.
Oh God, how do we interact with such issues so that we don't become ignorant and we don't imagine a boss who has no idea or clue on how to treat a girl who has an able different child. They'll watch and they'll understand.
Sometimes they just need to get out of that house and just take a walk and have some fresh air and then come back and be able to continue with the journey.
Sometimes they need somebody to take them out and buy coffee.
Exactly.
Just that.
Just that. Sometimes they are not even interested in your money. They just need someone to sit in there for them for a few hours and just get out and come back.
It's quite heavy.
But I must also say I have people who have walked this journey with me, people who have been very instrumental. I remember there is a friend of mine who came one time and asked me, how much do you pay your house helps? I asked, why are you asking? You just tell me how much you pay your house helps. I said what I was paying back then, and she said, I want to pay your house help for 2 months. That is a big lift.
For sure, God sends help.
He sends help.
God sends. And if you've not been sent, stop pushing yourself because you won't be having peace in your heart.
And sometimes people are thinking you need to have a lot for you to be able to help. Sometimes you do not even need to go and buy the big packet of Pampers. Maybe you just need to go and buy 5. Maybe you just need to buy 2 for that day, and she's sorted.
I'm learning as much as the public is learning, and I would love to just know, like, with this question, like today, if you are put in to represent Kenya, on behalf of all mothers having these children able differently, what will be your main point of beginning? What will you want turned around 360?
The way people look at us.
How will they stop?
The way people look at us, they give us weird stares. We go to church, we look like we
don't belong there.
We do not belong there. It's like we are more or less tolerated to be there. And we also have needs to socialize, but it gets to a point where you decide rather than go and be a nuisance, you would rather just stay in your space. Enlightening people about children able differently and making them aware that there is help. There is help out there. There are people who care, because there are organizations that care. There are people who care. And there are many people out of these experiences, even as parents, have started organizations to try and address needs. They do not do it in a big way. I know friends, I belong to a group of, a support group that they refused me to leave even after my son left, where people will go and talk to friends. Like now I talk to you and a few of your friends, you give me whatever you have. I go and visit 2-3 children with Pampers, or we just go and help the mother clean the house. We buy her new beddings. We buy her food for that day, because more often than not, these mothers are not able to leave. They are not able to hire someone to take care of that child. So more often than not, they lose their jobs. They are sitting at home with that child and they have no source of income.
The husband has left.
And the husband has left.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you and offer the support that you need when you go out there, now that you're already in the network, how will they get you?
I am on social media. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. I am on Facebook. I am on
even YouTube.
Twitter, I am on YouTube.
So,
So yes, and we can give our contact. Like I can give my contacts.
okay, read it out.
My number is 0722 38 5552.
Wow.
0722 38 5552. On TikTok, I am Mam Shonko. On Instagram, at Elizabeth Shonko. On Twitter, or whatever you call it, X, I am at Elizabeth Shonko, and Facebook, I am Elizabeth Shonko.
That is as heavy as it is, the story of Mam Shonko, as we call her, Pastor Shonko, as she is known in other spheres of life. Quality and patient safety advocate Elizabeth Shonko, as we call her in all other spheres. And yes, for sure, she'll be back again to tell us the story of grief and many other testimonies that the Lord has enabled her to go through. That's it for this week's episode. Allow me to give a hug that I never gave when she was going through it as we did our audits. And I didn't know it's this heavy. And until next week, it's bye from us. Have a blessed week ahead.